Okay, so then obviously the increased quality and the higher budget of the shows, right? And so this is a big thing, kind of a reason that some people say is, oh, well, you have to wait two years between seasons because the quality is so much better now, right? We have never seen, shows of this quality and this, budget being put to, the small screen, if you will, the silver screen or whatever, right? We didn't see this on TV before. And so, now if you want the quality, you have to wait, right? Like that's kind of the thing. And so obviously there is some validity to this, of course, right? It's, higher budget for these shows, more going into it, the increased or higher quality of these shows. Again, something like House of the Dragon, The Last of Us, right? Stranger Things for sure. Fallout, in a lot of Fallout, you really notice. Like, it really just looks visually appealing, and the world is so big, so much world building, and quite a few characters and settings and all that stuff. So, yeah, you feel it, right? Obviously, and that's a big draw to the whole streaming age that we're in right now, and watching these high concept fantasy shows that at one time, in the not so in the not so distant past, were only available in movies, right? If you went to the theater and you saw a feature film, but now you're seeing that on TV, and so yeah, for sure, kind of has some validity to it. Yes, higher budget, higher quality equals longer wait times to, put this out, to meet that quality standard. But the one exception to this, well, there's probably many exceptions, but the biggest exception to this is Game of Thrones, right? Like, what happened there with Game of Thrones seasons 1 to 6, at least? I think 7 was slightly after, and then obviously 8 was about a year and a half after. But seasons 1 to 6 of Game of Thrones, believe it or not, premiered every year, right? There was about 1 year or less even, I think, between each season. For 6 straight years, they ran a season of, 10 episodes of television every year for Game of Thrones. And even, to this date, with all these new shows and the streaming services and all the money they put into it, I think a lot of people would still agree, and I definitely think this, that Game of Thrones had some of the best quality of any TV show ever produced, right? And even to this day, it stands up in that regard. Episodes like Battle of the Bastards, Watchers on the Wall, Blackwater, a lot of those big battle episodes that you saw throughout Game of Thrones, I mean, like, that's just insane. Like, just insane that they were able to pull stuff like that off in a TV show, even like compared to the best of the best in movies, in those types of battle scenes and battle episodes and stuff like that. It compares just as well to movies too. Like, just really impressive stuff in terms of the quality, and obviously the budget of the show was big, and they delivered. For 6 years, a season each year of 10 episodes. Now, obviously, Game of Thrones, they did have the big advantage of all these characters being spread out, right? And so they could have different units where they shot, literally just, John at the wall, right? And so they could just shoot that in, a couple months probably. And then at the same time as they were shooting John at the wall, they could shoot, Tyrion at King's Landing, and all these different things, right? Arya at with the Hound or something, or anyways, all the different perspectives that you got, right? They could all shoot them consecutively because almost none of these characters actually interacted with each other. Oh, Dany, that's a perfect example, right? Like, they could film all of her stuff at the exact same time as Jon at the wall. Obviously, they had to coordinate it and all that, which is no small feat. But they could do that. So that's a big thing, fair enough with Game of Thrones, but still, at the end of the day, that they were able to do that for 6 years of 10 episodes each year, I think that kind of speaks to, yeah, okay, there was amazing quality in that. The budget was big for that show, and they were able to do it. So, and you see some of that, like Stranger Things, I think is a good example of something like that, where the majority of all of those seasons of Stranger Things, these characters are always split up. Like, it's only in the very finale or the last couple episodes of each season where all these characters are together, and so you'd have to film all the scenes together. But up until that point, there are at least 3 or 4 different, perspectives or groups in Stranger Things throughout the season that you could easily film their scenes consecutively, or not consecutively, concurrently with the other, groups and scenes like that. And so this is something that Stranger Things could definitely do, but as we know, it'll be 3 years, and I think, what was it, 3 years between season 3 and 4 as well? I think so. So yeah, I think Stranger Things is a perfect show like that you could easily do that with, and so I don't really see an excuse for Stranger Things in that regard. Even House of the Dragon season 2. You saw that with a lot of the stuff. Matt Smith as Damon, right? Not to speak on the quality of all those scenes, the same scene just every single episode, but he was definitely separated and had a whole different, perspective on the season of House of the Dragon. So again, you could film those scenes at the same time you could film Rhaenyra's scenes and have different units going on at once. So there's lots of, ways, if they really wanted to and they really, thought things through, that they could exploit the same things that Game of Thrones did and give us a new season each year. So I don't completely buy that point.